Okay, it's my pleasure to introduce our district governor. And before I turn over the podium to him, or the floor, hold the mic first. Oh. I usually never have a problem with that. Alan is a lifelong resident of Arkansas, having made his home in Arkadelphia since 1990. His wife Carol and he joined Carol's family business, the Hunter Wasson Timber Company. He is the manager of this fourth-generation forest management and logging firm based in Arkadelphia. He is a registered forester and served on the National Forest Resources Association. He is the vice chairman of the Economic Development Authority of Clark County and is a member of the Arkadelphia Regional Economic Development Authority. Alan is a charter member of the Arkadelphia Sunrise Rotary Club. Before his current role as district governor, he served as president of that club, was assistant governor, was a member of the district's Zimbabwe Water Project Committee, and served as team leader for the 2013 Group Study Exchange to Italy. Alan is a multiple Paul Harris Fellow. He and Carol hosted 2 Rotary Exchange students, as well as a number of GSC team members. Alan and Carol are proud parents of 4 children and 3 grandsons. His hobbies are gardening, kayaking, fishing, and growing trees. Oddly enough, so I could take him down at a later date. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Alan.
Thank you, guys. One of the things that I firmly believe in leadership is that you can't, if you're going to be a true leader of any entity, you can't follow the crowd. You can't walk with the crowd. You've got to run ahead of the crowd. And I can see already, this is a tough crowd to run ahead of. What an honor to be here today. I look forward to this meeting. So many of the members of this club I've met in my Rotary life, I've worked with. I want to thank especially Tony Cifelli. Tony's so often within our own clubs, we don't know what those individuals are doing in other aspects of Rotary. Tony Cifelli, one of our assistant governors, right hand for me. Anytime I have a special project, Tony is always there. He's doing research for me. He's helping me out. Anyway, Tony is one of those super Rotarians that I just can't thank enough for his service. There's Leanne Branch sitting back there. She's our membership chair for the district. And so she is trying to guide the district with ideas how to gain new members and also how to retain members. We have to find, every time we bring a new member into Rotary, we have to find value for them or they don't stay. And we know there's value there, but we've got to show that to our new members as early as possible. Paul Bridges, past Jeff Ferris Leadership Academy Dean, has led a whole host of our upcoming leaders and helped train them. And so, anyway, just a huge legacy within this club. And there are folks, Spence, folks that, that I can't name you all. And so if I left anybody out or those I haven't mentioned, please forgive me. But Donna, what an outstanding year. And it's just a wonderful experience to get to meet and go around and visit with 36 Rotary clubs, 36 communities within South and Southwest Arkansas. I think especially this year, given the climate of our elections, and if you watch the media, how depressing society is, 2 to 3 times a week, I get to meet with the best members of the best communities in Southwest Arkansas. So I've gotten a bite this year. I feel for those of you who haven't gotten to enjoy that experience, but it's really lifted me up and carried me through what could have been a depressing cycle with all the negatives that have been thrown about. A few months ago, when I started my visits, Christian pastor gave an invocation at a Rotary Club meeting. And in his invocation, he brought out the Bible verse may we be salt of the earth. And that struck me, resonated within me, that that is what Rotary is in our communities. Being a forester, I got have a science background, and so more familiar with the very technical aspects of salt. But I'm also a country boy from a little community called Eagle Lake, Arkansas. And when I was very young, we preserved meat with salt. Salt primarily is used as a preservative. Those things that it touches, it has a preservative effect on them. And if you look at our Rotary clubs, in so many of our communities in southwest Arkansas, that's what we're doing. We're preserving the best traditions, those tenets that are within our communities that are best. The Rotary clubs are helping preserve those things. So we act as a preservative already. Salt is a flavor enhancer. Look at what you guys are doing. Isn't that what Rotarians do? We enhance the flavor of our communities. I think last night y'all were at many of you were at a concert, and you worked the tennis tournaments, offering food, and it's a service, and it makes money, but it's also enhancing the flavor of this community that you live in. And finally, salt impacts almost everything it touches. Now, if you think about it, now there are some things like a brick that you can put salt against, and it will not impact it at all. But primarily, everything that salt touches, it has an impact upon. That's you and I, in Rotary, through Rotary, within our communities. Every person we touch. Your work with Teen Challenge. What a heart, something that cannot help but touch one's heart. The work that you do with these individuals who have not had the life and the opportunities that you and I have had, you impact them when you do their Thanksgiving Day dinner. You're salt of the earth within this community, and I applaud you for it. One of the things that they start off being a district governor is about a 3-year training stint. And one of the first things they say is, you need to build a goal. What's going to be your goal for your year? And so I came up with a real modest one. I need your help, but we're going to do it. My goal for this year, we're going to change the world. I've got good help right here. So how are we going to change the world? Well, how do you change the world? You do it one person at a time. And you do it through this club. One club at a time. And we're all going to work through one organization, which is Rotary International. And we will change the world. We're already doing it. My goal was achieved before I ever started. But we can do a better job of it, and that is my goal. One person at a time, as a personal story for me, when I was a young Rotarian, I said I was or Tony said, I'm a charter member of my club. And so our first year of being in the club, we had a lot of training that was being done. And so we had this presentation. One Rotarian took the time to come to our club with a presentation on the foundation. I'm watching it. I'm a Rotary member. I'm not a Rotarian yet. I'm a Rotary member. And in that presentation, there is a slide that comes up. It is a third world, a street in a slum in a third world country. It is an early morning shot, about like me driving through Hot Springs early this morning. It's foggy. It's desolate. It's dirty. It's nasty. That wasn't like Hot Springs, but just the foggy part. But anyway, it's desolate. And I have to admit, I looked at that street and I said, would I walk down that street? I can tell you, I don't know. I hope I would, but I don't know. But in the foreground of the picture is a Rotarian. And they're wearing one of these. And this is why, this is a National Immunization Day vest that Rotarians and Rotary volunteers wear when we're doing polio vaccinations. And it's in third world countries and even in the poorest parts of those countries, they know this is a sign of people who are trying to help them, who are trying to change the lives of their children. And so there was a Rotarian wearing a vest like this. And you can't see this Rotarian's face. And I thought, that's us. That is you and I. So, because so many of the times, the good that we do, the lives that we change, our face is not seen. But those lives are changed regardless. I was about to say irregardless. That's been in the paper lately. But anyway, it was, there's this Rotarian walking down this street. And again, I looked at it, and I had to go, I'm a logger. Logger, you watch X-Men, I'm supposed to throw my hard hat and say a little profanity or a lot of profanity. But basically, we kind of think of ourselves as tough, burly guys. I looked at that street, and unlike our law enforcement officers who have to face this daily, I didn't know if I could walk down that street. If you told me, Alan, you can change a life at the end of that street, I hope I would have the courage to walk down it. I'm not sure I would. Don't tell my wife I'm a coward. But I did see one thing. This Rotarian is carrying a satchel by his side. It's full of an vaccine for polio. Every one of those, they come in 2 drops. Vials, thank you, sir. 67 cents. 67 cents. For 67 cents, I can change a life in a third world country. For $1.34, I can change 2 lives. At what point do we sit there and say, I'm stopping giving because it's too much to change a life at 67 cents per unit? So anyway, whether I haven't had to test myself whether I would walk down this street yet. I would love to at some point, but I can help keep that satchel full, and you can help keep that satchel full. And every time we put more drops in that satchel, we change lives. In 1979, one Rotarian in a club in Kansas was familiar with the Philippines. At that time, there were 385,000 cases of polio per year. One Rotarian said, I know how to impact the incidence of polio in the Philippines. I have contacts there. He convinced his club to help. In just a few years, polio was eliminated from the Philippines, and the Polio Plus program was started with Rotary in general. This year we're going to have, so far, we've had 28 cases. We're so close. We're further than we thought we were. Recently we had 4 cases show up in Nigeria. We thought Nigeria was taken care of. No, it's not. And one of the estimate is, because of these 4 cases of paralytic polio, that's all we can measure within these third world countries, is how many children are paralyzed. Well, for every case of paralysis, there are 200 cases who don't show that. So there are 200 per each one. There are 800 children in Nigeria right now with polio. We don't know who they are, but we do know they're spreading the disease back throughout the country. By Rotary's estimate, it will cost 100 million more inoculations because of these 4 cases. One young Rotarian who's never lived with the threat of polio, the way many of you and I have, said, and I was at a meeting at their club, and they said, Alan, this really doesn't grab young people anymore. We don't know what polio is. Rotary needs to find something with a bigger face, something that will grab us more. In a community in Afghanistan of 1,000 children, there were 4 cases of polio, paralytic polio. That means 8 out of 10, 800 out of 1,000 children within that community have polio and will one day, in some manner, show the effects of it. That's why you and I fight this disease. And that's why we keep that satchel full. Tony's handing out some cups. And y'all are a generous club. Y'all give so generously with your time, your efforts, and your giving. But I'm going to ask for your pocket lamp. When you come in the evening, if you would, put your pocket change in that cup and bring that into your treasurer. And whether it's a club decision, whether you give it as a club, whether you give it as a member, however your club decides to give, I hope it's an encouragement for us to give that last little bit to help defeat this disease within our country, within our world. When we do, not if we do, when we do, it will be the second human disease in human history that will be wiped out from the face of the earth. At the end of our year, I'm going to have this framed, and it's signed by John Journal, our Rotary International president. I want to do it in a shadow box, and it will be the Rotarian Serving Humanity Award for this year for the club that increases its per capita giving the most. And when we were at Assembly, I showed this to the presidents and the committee leaders that were at Assembly, and one of them was very, was so kind. They said, would you put it on, and would you wear it while we take pictures of it? And I can tell you, I can't put that on. 24 Rotarians or volunteers of Rotary died last year wearing that vest. I give from my wallet, and I hope I give until it hurts. But there are people who gave their life to defeat polio. I can't wear that vest. So anyway, that's my challenge to you guys. We're changing the world. And one of the ways we can do it, one person at a time, is when we give to the Polio Plus program or to the foundation in general. You guys know we already talked about what you guys are doing as a club, the lives that you're changing there. We're working with Teen Challenge. That touches my heart. Every family has members with addiction problems. And it's not a measure of the goodness of that person. It just may be a measure of the weaknesses of that person, and we all have those. So anyway, the work that you're doing there, you're touching lives. And that's what we do. Another thing I wanted to talk about is one of the things that I think we don't impress enough to our Rotary members in clubs is the internationality of Rotary. This is your world within Rotary. I'm from a club of 30. That's my Rotary world. That's my home base. That's my foundation. When I go back, they may recognize me. I may have to be inducted again. But that's our home base. But last May, I had the opportunity, the privilege of representing you at the Rotary International Convention in Seoul, South Korea. I got to experience Rotary International. I'm sitting in what was one of the Olympic halls in Seoul, and they announced 45,000 Rotarians in this room. Boy, what a life-changing experience. Just to kind of cap it off, I'm sitting there with a good friend of mine, a district governor from Tulsa, is on my right, and I made a new friend from Nigeria who sat down on my left. I was reminded of Mark Twain. Mark Twain said we were two people divided by a common language. My new friend from Nigeria spoke King's English. I had to explain to him what y'all meant. While we were sitting there, there was my friend from Tulsa leaned over and elbowed me, and he said, "Just wanted to let you know the South Korean military just went on full alert. Kim Jong-un's about to fire off a missile." Well, at that very moment, and this is also to talk about the internationality of Rotary, Ban Ki-moon, the Secretary General of the UN, was giving our welcome talk. You and I belong to an organization that the Secretary General of the UN comes to say welcome to. That's not, we should take that humbly, but we should also understand the feeling of respect that you and I garner within the world, within our organization. Anyway, nothing happened, but I did sit there and look at the Secretary General of the UN. 2 prime ministers were there, 45,000 Rotarians from 187 countries. And I thought, wow, I wish I was back in Eagle Lake, Arkansas right now, for at least the next 20 minutes. But anyway, Rotary International, we also, not only should we be mindful of the good that we're doing within this community and within Southwest Arkansas, but we should also be mindful of the good that we do within the world. You know, if you look at a Rotary logo, my pen's awfully small this morning, but if you look at a Rotary logo and you cover up the bottom half of it, it's a wheel, it's a circle. If you cover up the bottom half of it, you see Rotary written across the top. And that's what we do within our club. That's our local involvement. We're in Rotary. If you uncover the bottom half, that's international. That's what we do when we give to the foundation. That's when we provide water projects to orphanages and handicap centers in Zimbabwe. That's when we, this year, will provide 2 $30,000 scholarships to grad students who have a connection here within our district. The local district grants projects that we'll do here within these communities. $250 scholarships we're going to be giving to clubs so that they can put their name in front of some student to help them along their way. You know, I know in today's world $250 for a book scholarship doesn't seem like much, but I can tell you in 1980, I was a college student at the University of Arkansas at Monticello. Like a lot of very rural country kids, I was already married, having kids, doing all those things that would ensure poverty for the rest of my life. And I got a call one day, and it was from the financial aid office, and they said, "Alan, you just won the academic teachers something award, $150. I don't know how many of you remember the Olympics, but the sprinter who was from Jamaica, I could beat him that day. I ran so hard and fast to get to that financial aid center so I could get $150. Now, I'll be honest, it took me 10 or 15 years. I'm a little dense. It took me 10 or 15 years before I finally slowed down to realize there was no academic excellence scholarship that comes out in the middle of January. That doesn't happen. One person I would like to think was a Rotarian, and Monticello does have a very strong club that hinges around the university there. I would like to think it was a Rotarian, saw someone in need, and they took steps, even at the $150 level, to change that life. And they did. Now, it took me, like I say, 10 or 15 years before I realized that. But that's a debt I owe to my community and to society. And I can repay it through Rotary. We're going to have a big celebration this coming spring in Atlanta. This is the 100th anniversary of the Rotary Foundation. We're going to have a celebration first here in Hot Springs, April 29th. We're going to have a foundation dinner to celebrate what the foundation has done, both worldwide and within our country. We're going to have good speakers. We're going to have a good meal. We're going to have even better fellowship. And I hope each one of you will try to be there. But then in June, we're going to Atlanta. And like a bunch of us to go. And where there were 45,000 Rotarians in Seoul, we're going to have 55,000 in Atlanta. And it's going to be fun. And I know y'all are a traveling club. Y'all know how to travel and travel in style. So would certainly love to have y'all there. It will be, it will be the celebration for John Germ's year as RI president. And so we want to celebrate that and have a good time. I sure hope y'all will join us. I'm always scatterbrained, and I think I am especially this morning. But I just want y'all to know it's an honor and a privilege. And, you know, on the Changing Lives, back to my original scenario of watching the video or the slides with Polio Plus, one of the great privileges and honors of my life happened about a month ago. As your district governor, I got to sign the paperwork, which, not above and beyond your giving to the Polio Plus program, we had $12,000 that we could give from your past gifts. We could give to the Polio Plus Foundation, or the Polio Plus program within the foundation. That $12,000, because of special matching programs, would multiply to about $56,000. And so, from that video that a Rotarian took the time to develop, to show within a club, I had the privilege, and it's because of your giving, but I had the privilege to where I could sit there and say, we just changed 80,000 lives, you and I. And so anyway, I thank you for that. I thank you for this honor. It's great to be in a club like this, and I hope to come back and visit a lot. President Donna, any way that I can help anytime, please let me know. Thank y'all so much.